If your energy is low, your motivation is shot, and your drive as a man isn't what it used to be, there's a reason for it. And it's not just aging or bad genetics. It's habits that are silently wrecking your body. I've helped men who struggled with this, and after cutting just 11 habits, their energy skyrocketed. Testosterone levels jumped by 86%, and their confidence completely changed. And one of these habits is so common that 78% of men do it without even realizing it's crushing their natural drive. And if you don't fix this, no supplement or workout routine will make up for it. I'll break down exactly what's killing your energy, the science behind it, and the step-by-step fixes to bring your drive back fast, without complicated routines or expensive treatments. I tested these fixes on myself before ever recommending them. After tracking my blood work, hormones, and performance over 34 months, I found exactly what works and what's a waste of time. And by the end of the video, so will you. So let's start with habit number 1. You think you're getting healthier with your daily runs, but you're actually triggering what researchers call exercise hypogonadal male condition. This is where your body literally shuts down testosterone production because it thinks you're in survival mode. Here's what's happening inside your body. Every time you go for that long run or intense cycling session, you're flooding your system with cortisol. Now, cortisol isn't evil. It's supposed to help you handle stress. But when it's chronically elevated from too much cardio, it directly attacks your HPG axis. That's the control center for your testosterone production. Here's the science. Marathon runners show testosterone levels 10 to 40% lower than guys who are just training for 5 or 10K races. This study, tracking over 1,000 endurance runners, found a 20% drop in libido scores compared to moderate exercisers. But here's the kicker. It's not just about the intensity. It's about crossing what researchers call the volume threshold. Once you exceed certain limits, like running more than 100 kilometers per week, your body starts cannibalizing its own hormone production to keep up with the energy demands. Picture your testosterone production like a bank account. Every intense cardio session is a massive withdrawal. Short and moderate sessions, small withdrawals that can be easily recovered from. But those long, grueling sessions, you're making withdrawals faster than your body can make deposits. Eventually, you go bankrupt. So here's the fix. Switch to what I call hormonal cardio. Exercise that actually supports your testosterone instead of destroying it. Here's the protocol. First, implement the 80-20 rule. 80% of your cardio should be so easy you can hold a conversation. I'm talking about a pace you can chat with someone walking next to you without getting winded. This keeps you in the aerobic zone without triggering that cortisol cascade. For the remaining 20%, do short explosive intervals. Think 30 seconds all-out sprints followed by 90 seconds of complete rest. Repeat this 6 to 8 times maximum. These brief bursts actually boost testosterone and growth hormone production. And the magic number for total cardio is to keep it under 150 minutes per week of moderate intensity or 75 minutes of vigorous intensity. Any more than that, and you're entering the danger zone where cardio starts working against your hormones instead of fixing them. But cardio aside, if you're doing your workouts at 5 a.m., you're slowly killing your libido. Habit number 2, the 5 a.m. club. The 5 a.m. club sounds impressive on social media, but it's creating what sleep researchers call chronic sleep debt syndrome. You're essentially robbing your body of the most crucial hours for hormonal production. Studies show that when shifting training time from 8 a.m. to 5 a.m., total sleep was reduced by up to 102 minutes per session. Over 1 week, this creates a sleep deficit of over 8 hours. Another study showed that people who exercise before work between 6 a.m. and 8 a.m. lose an average of 16 minutes of sleep per day compared to those who exercise later or not at all. But here's the scary part. Research on healthy men found that just 1 week of getting only 5 hours of sleep caused testosterone levels to drop by 10 to 15%. They also found the cortisol awakening response, your body's stress hormone surge when you wake up, nearly doubled in early risers. This creates a perfect storm. Less testosterone production time plus higher stress hormones equals a hormonal disaster for your sex drive. Think of testosterone production like a night shift factory. The workers, your hormones, clock in at around 10 p.m. and work through the night, with peak productivity happening between 4 to 7 a.m. When you wake up at 5 a.m., you're essentially firing half the workforce before they finish the job. Day after day, the factory produces less and less until it can barely function. So here's what to do. I call this circadian optimization training, and it's about working with your biology instead of against it. First, if you absolutely must train early, you need to earn it with your sleep schedule. For every hour earlier you wake up, you must go to bed 1 hour earlier. Non-negotiable. Most guys try to wake wake up at 5 a.m., but still go to bed around 11 p.m. That's a recipe for hormonal disaster. Second, create what I call a sleep sanctuary. Your bedroom should be between 65 and 68 degrees Fahrenheit, completely dark with blackout curtains, and free from any blue light sources. Third, implement the 2-hour rule. No screens, intense conversations, or stimulating activities within 2 hours of bedtime. Your brain needs time to wind down and prepare for crucial testosterone production phase. If your schedule allows for it, the optimal training window is between 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. when your cortisol naturally peaks and your body is primed for physical stress. But if you're locked into early morning training, at least protect your sleep quality with these protocols. But the opposite can also have a drastic effect on your testosterone and sex drive. And this comes down to a problem that more and more people in their 20s and 30s are silently falling victim to. Picture this. When you're laying in your bed, you pick up your phone, open Instagram, and accidentally click on a reel without even realizing it. Then, 3 hours later, that brings us to habit 3, dopamine overload. You're unknowingly rewiring your brain's reward system through what neuroscientists call digital dopamine dysregulation. Every time you mindlessly scroll through social media or watch porn, you're literally breaking your brain's ability to get aroused by real-life experiences. Here's the terrifying part. Your brain can't tell the difference between digital stimulation and real stimulation. When you're constantly hitting it with super normal stimuli, such as perfectly edited Instagram models or explicit videos, you're training your reward system to expect unrealistic levels of stimulation. Neuroimaging studies found that men with compulsive digital behaviors, primarily with porn, showed actual brain damage, reduced gray matter in the areas responsible for sexual motivation. The numbers are staggering. 60% of men with compulsive sexual behaviors couldn't get aroused with real partners, even though they had no problem with internet pornography. But here's what's really happening in your brain. Every digital hit releases a massive dopamine surge. Over time, your dopamine receptors down-regulate to protect themselves from this constant bombardment. It's like turning down the volume on your brain's pleasure system. Eventually, normal experiences like physical intimacy with a real person barely register. Imagine your dopamine system as a nightclub with a volume dial. Normal life experiences play music at level 3, pleasant and enjoyable, but digital content cranks it to level 10 every single time. After months of level 10 music, your ears, or dopamine receptors, get damaged. Now level 3 sounds like silence. Your brain literally can't hear normal pleasure anymore. Here's the solution. You need what I call a dopamine reset protocol, essentially rehab for your reward system. Phase 1 is digital detox, complete elimination of porn for 90 days minimum. I know that sounds extreme, but your brain needs time to heal and recalibrate. Use website blockers, accountability apps, whatever it takes. Phase 2 is social media restriction. Limit all social platforms for 30 minutes total per day. Set app timers and stick to them religiously. The goal is to break the pattern of mindless scrolling that keeps your dopamine system in constant overdrive. Phase 3 is analog replacement. For every digital habit you remove, replace it with a physical one. Instead of scrolling in bed, read a book. Instead of watching videos, go for a walk. Your brain needs to relearn how to find pleasure in simple real-world activities. The key is understanding that it isn't just about willpower. It's about neuroplasticity. Your brain will literally rewire itself if you give it the right environment. Most guys see improvement in focus and energy within 2 to 3 weeks, but full dopamine sensitivity can take up to 3 months to restore. And if you're serious about optimizing your hormones and getting your drive back, I put together a complete system that addresses all these issues. Just see the link below for more info. But now let's keep going, because the next habit might be the most dangerous one yet. Habit number 4, overtraining. You think more is better in the gym, but you're actually triggering what researchers call paradoxical deconditioning syndrome. This is where your body enters survival mode and starts shutting down non-essential functions like your sex drive to conserve energy for basic survival. Most guys don't realize they're overtraining because they're not elite athletes. But overtraining isn't just about volume. It's about the balance between stress and recovery. When you're hitting the gym 6 to 7 days a week, doing intense sessions every time, and not giving your body adequate rest, you're creating a chronic stress state that's toxic to testosterone production. The ERO studies, some of the most comprehensive research on overtraining, found that overtrained athletes had completely blunted hormonal responses. Their testosterone to estradiol ratios were severely altered, meaning they were producing less testosterone and more estrogen. Male endurance athletes showed approximately 20% lower libido scores when training at high volumes. But here's what's really happening. Chronic stress from training elevates cortisol, which directly suppresses your HPG axis homeostasis, the brain to testes signal that makes testosterone. Your body literally thinks it's in a famine or war situation, so it shuts down reproduction to focus on survival. The more you train without adequate recovery, the deeper you dig this hormonal hole. Think of your body like a smartphone battery. Each intense workout drains the battery significantly. Light recovery activities are like putting it on low power mode. You're still using it, but conserving energy. Complete rest days are like plugging it into charge. If you keep using your phone intensely without ever charging it, eventually it dies completely. That's what overtraining does to your hormones. To fix this, I use a method called intelligent periodization, training that actually builds your hormones instead of destroying them. First, implement the 2-day rule. After any intense training session, you need at least 48 hours before hitting the same muscle group again. This isn't just for muscle recovery, it's for hormonal recovery. Second, use heart rate variability, or HRV, as your guide. Track your HRV every morning with a simple app or Whoop device. When it drops significantly below your baseline, that's your body telling you it's not recovered. Take an extra rest day, no matter what your program says. Third, periodize your intensity. Follow a 3-to-1 ratio. 3 weeks of progressive training, followed by 1 week of reduced volume and intensity. This gives your hormonal system regular breaks to reset and recover. Finally, monitor your morning erections. I know it sounds crude, but it's one of the most reliable indicators of hormonal health in men. If you're not waking up with morning erections regularly, you're likely overtraining and need to back off immediately. But here's where it gets really dangerous. Because while overtraining starves your hormones, the next habit literally starves your entire hormonal production system. Habit number 5, over-dieting. Your aggressive diet is triggering what endocrinologists call starvation-induced hypogonadism. When you drop calories too low, your body doesn't just burn fat, it shuts down testosterone production faster than almost any other lifestyle factor. Here's what happens when you're in a severe caloric deficit. Your body thinks there's a famine. From an evolutionary perspective, this is not the time to be making babies or having a sex drive. So your brain sends a signal to stop producing GnRH, the master hormone that controls testosterone production. It's like flipping a switch that turns off your entire reproductive system. Clinical studies show that aggressive caloric restriction disrupts the pulsatile secretion of GnRH within days. Men in severe energy deficits of 30 to 40% calorie restriction can see testosterone drops of nearly 30%. But it gets worse. Extreme dieting also increases SHBG, your sex hormone binding globulin, by 20 to 70%, which binds up to free testosterone in your body, making it unavailable for it to use. When your body senses starvation, it immediately prioritizes survival functions over reproductive ones. Your brain literally calculates that it's better to survive without a sex drive than to die with one. Imagine your body as a house during a power outage. When the electricity, or calories, gets cut off, your body starts shutting down rooms to conserve power. First, it shuts down the luxury rooms: libido, muscle building, optimal mood. If the power shortage continues, it starts shutting down more essential rooms until only the most critical systems, heart, lungs, brain, are still running. Here's the fix. I call this metabolic preservation dieting, losing fat while actually protecting your hormonal system. First, never drop below a 25% caloric deficit from your maintenance calories. Use an online calculator to find your maintenance, then subtract no more than 500 to 750 calories. This keeps you in fat burning mode without triggering starvation responses. Second, prioritize protein like your hormones depend on it, because they do. Aim for 1.6 to 2.2 grams per kilogram per body weight. Protein has the highest thermic effect, helps preserve muscle mass, and provides the amino acids needed for hormone production. Third, don't eliminate fats. You need a minimum of 0.8 grams per kilogram of body weight in dietary fats for optimal hormone production. Focus on sources like olive oil, nuts, avocados, and fatty fish. Fourth, implement strategic refeed days. Every 10 to 14 days, eat at maintenance calories with extra carbohydrates. This sends a signal to your body that the famine is over and it's safe to maintain normal hormone production. Finally, track your energy levels and mood as early warning signs. If you're constantly tired, irritable, or losing your sex drive, you're dieting too aggressively and need to increase calories immediately. Speaking of dietary fats, eliminating them completely creates an even more specific hormonal disaster. Habit number 6, ultra low-fat diet. Your clean eating, ultra low-fat diet is creating what researchers call substrate-limited steroidogenesis. In simple terms, you're starving your body of what raw materials it needs to manufacture testosterone. Most guys don't realize that testosterone is made from cholesterol. When you eliminate dietary fats, you're not just cutting calories. You're removing the building blocks your body needs to produce male hormones. It's like trying to build a house without any bricks. A systematic review of 6 randomized trials found that men on low-fat diets showed significant decreases in both total and free testosterone. The effect was even more pronounced in men of European and North American ancestry. The mechanism involves 2 pathways. First, you're limiting cholesterol availability in the Leydig cells where testosterone is produced. Second, if the small amount of fat you're still eating is heavy in omega-6 seed oils, those fats raise oxidative stress in the testes and blunt the key enzymes that turn cholesterol into testosterone. Think of testosterone production like a car factory. Dietary fats are the steel, rubber, and plastic, the raw materials needed to build cars. You can have the most skilled workforce, your hormonal system, and the best assembly line, your endocrine glands. But without raw materials, no cars get built. No materials equals no testosterone. The solution? I call this hormone-optimized nutrition, eating in a way that actually supports your testosterone production instead of sabotaging it. First, aim for 25 to 35% of your total calories from fats. This isn't just about hitting a number. It's about providing your body with adequate nutrition for hormone production. Track this religiously for the first few weeks until it becomes automatic. Second, prioritize monounsaturated fats. Include sources like olive oil, avocados, and nuts. These provide the most stable building blocks for testosterone synthesis without the inflammatory effects of processed vegetable oils. Third, include cholesterol-rich foods in your diet, like eggs, especially the yolks, are testosterone gold. Organ meats are even better if you can stomach them. Your body can make cholesterol, but dietary cholesterol gives it a head start. Fourth, limit omega-6 vegetable oils like soybean, corn, and canola oil. These create inflammation in your testicular tissues that interfere with hormone production. Finally, time your fats strategically. Include some healthy fats with every meal so it supports your hormone production throughout the day. Now, while meal composition matters, meal timing can be just as destructive to your hormones. Habit number 7, late night eating. Your late night snacking is triggering circadian metabolic disruption. When you eat close to bedtime, you're not just adding calories, you're fragmenting your sleep and doubling your stress hormone production during the most critical hours for testosterone synthesis. Here's what happens when you eat late. Your digestive system kicks into high gear right when it should be winding down. This delays sleep onset, increases wake events during the night, and most importantly, disrupts the deep sleep phases when your body is repairing itself. Controlled studies show that late night eating increases sleep disturbance scores by 80% and nearly doubles the cortisol awakening response. Meanwhile, the sleep fragmentation reduces REM sleep duration, which is exactly when your body should be manufacturing testosterone. The mechanism is a perfect storm. Elevated cortisol suppresses your HPG axis, while poor sleep quality reduces the time available for hormone production. You're getting hit from both sides. Picture your sleep as a testosterone factory that runs the night shift. The workers need quiet, darkness, and uninterrupted time to do their job. Late night eating is like construction work going on right next door. The noise and disruption make it impossible for the workers to focus. They might still show up, but productivity plummets. So to fix this, implement what I call circadian eating protocols, aligning your food intake with your body's natural rhythms. First, establish a hard cutoff time for eating, at least 3 to 4 hours before bed. If you normally go to bed at 10 p.m., your last meal should be finished by 6 to 7 p.m. This gives your digestive system time to process food before sleep mode kicks in. Second, if you absolutely must eat late, choose easily digestible proteins like Greek yogurt or a small portion of cottage cheese. Avoid high-fat, high-calorie meals that require significant digestive energy. Third, create a wind-down ritual that signals your body it's time to transition from digestion to sleep. This might include herbal tea, light stretching, or reading. Anything that helps your nervous system shift gears. Fourth, if you're generally hungry late at night, it usually means that you didn't eat enough earlier in the day. Plan your meals better so you're not starving by the evening. Most late night eating is habitual, not physiological. Finally, track your sleep quality using wearable devices or apps like Whoop or Apple Watch. You'll quickly see the correlation between late night eating and poor sleep metrics, which will motivate you to stick to your eating schedule. But even if you nail your eating schedule, there's a silent bedroom habit that's suffocating your testosterone production every single night. Habit number 8, snoring. Your snoring isn't just annoying your partner, it's creating intermittent hypoxic testosterone suppression. Every time you snore, you're briefly cutting off the oxygen to your brain and disrupting the deep sleep phases when testosterone is produced. Most guys don't realize that snoring is actually a form of sleep disordered breathing. When your airway partially collapses during sleep, it creates repeated micro awakenings throughout the night. Your brain never gets the sustained deep sleep it needs for optimum hormone production. Large-scale studies show that roughly 65% of sleep apnea patients have erectile dysfunction, and this jumps to over 73% in severe cases. Another study shows men who have breathing problems during sleep are twice as likely to experience sexual problems as men who sleep normally. The mechanism involves intermittent hypoxia, repeated drops in blood oxygen, which reduces nitric oxide availability and disrupts the normal nocturnal testosterone surge. Men with low libido showed only 0.1% deep sleep compared to 2.3% with men with normal sexual function. Think of your testosterone production like a plant that needs consistent oxygen and uninterrupted darkness to grow. Snoring is like repeatedly choking the plant throughout the night. It survives, but it's constantly stressed and can never reach its full potential. After months of this nightly torture, the plant withers and stops producing. The solution? I call this airway optimization, creating the ideal breathing environment for your hormonal recovery. First, address your sleep position. Side sleeping reduces snoring by up to 50% compared to back sleepers. Use a body pillow to maintain side position throughout the night, or try the tennis ball trick. Tape a tennis ball to the back of your shirt to prevent rolling onto it while you sleep. Second, optimize your nasal breathing. Use nasal strips or nasal dilators to improve airflow through your nose. Mouth breathing during sleep is a testosterone killer because it leads to more airway collapse and snoring. Third, elevate the head of your bed by 4 to 6 inches. This uses gravity to keep your airways open and reduces the likelihood of tissue collapse. You can use bed risers or extra pillows, but make sure your neck stays in a neutral position. Fourth, maintain a healthy weight. Excess weight, especially around the neck, significantly increases snoring and sleep apnea. Even a 10% weight loss can dramatically improve breathing during sleep. Finally, avoid alcohol and sedatives within 4 hours of bedtime. These substances relax muscles around your throat, making airway collapse more likely. If you're a chronic loud snorer, get a sleep study done. You might need CPAP therapy to fully optimize your sleep and hormone production. While poor sleep destroys hormones at night, chronic stress demolishes them around the clock. Habit number 9, stress. Your chronic stress is creating HPA and HPG axis antagonism, a biological war between your stress response system and your reproductive system. And in this war, stress always wins. Here's what most guys don't understand. Your body can't produce optimal levels of both stress hormones and sex hormones at the same time. They compete for the same raw materials and use the same biological pathways. When you're chronically stressed, your body makes a choice, and it always chooses survival over reproduction. Research shows that daily stress accounts for up to 47% of sexual dysfunction issues in men. Higher cortisol is linked to noticeably poor erections and lower sex drive. The more stress hormone in your system, the weaker both they tend to become. In extreme cases, like Cushing's syndrome, where cortisol is chronically elevated, men experience up to 69% reduction in libido. Here's the mechanism. Cortisol suppresses GnRH and LH secretion while increasing sympathetic nervous system activity. This creates a hormonal environment that's toxic to sexual function. High stress hormones, low sex hormones, and a nervous system stuck in fight or flight mode. Imagine your hormonal system as a seesaw with stress hormones on one side and sex hormones on the other. In a healthy man, there's a balance. Stress goes up temporarily and then comes back down, allowing sex hormones to rise. But with chronic stress, it's like having a 300-pound gorilla permanently sitting on the stress side. The sex hormone side never gets a chance to come up. So here's what to do. What I've learned from working with hundreds of high-performing men is this. Managing stress isn't just about feeling better. It's about protecting your hormonal system. system. Every training program I design now includes specific stress management protocol because I've seen how crucial this is for maintaining optimal hormonal health. First, implement stress compartmentalization. Set specific times for dealing with stressful tasks and stick to them religiously. Check emails only at designated times, not constantly throughout the day. This prevents your stress response from being chronically activated. Second, practice physiological sighs, a breathing technique that directly activates your parasympathetic nervous system. Take a normal inhale through your nose, then take a second smaller inhale to top it off. Then exhale slowly throughout your mouth. Do this 2 to 3 times whenever you feel stress building. Third, create stress boundaries. No work emails or calls after 7 p.m. No checking news or social media within 2 hours of bedtime. Your brain needs time to downshift from stress mode to recovery mode. Fourth, schedule decompression time daily, even if it's just 15 minutes. This could be meditation, walking, reading, or any activity that genuinely relaxes you. The key is consistency, not duration. Finally, address the root cause of stress rather than just managing the symptoms. If it's financial stress, create a budget and debt reduction plan. If it's relationship stress, have the difficult conversations. If it's work stress, set better boundaries or consider a career change. Band-aid solutions don't work for chronic stress. Now, while stress attacks your hormones from the inside, certain medications launch a direct assault on your sexual function. Habit number 10, medications. Your prescription medications are causing treatment-emerged sexual dysfunction, where the very drugs meant to help you are systematically dismantling your sexual function through multiple biological pathways. Most guys have no idea that common medications can destroy their sex drive. We're talking about antidepressants, blood pressure medications, painkillers, and even hair loss treatments. SSRIs or antidepressant drugs cause sexual dysfunction in 40 to 65% of patients, with reduced libido being the primary complaint. Men taking opioids, medications primarily prescribed for severe pain, average about 165 nanograms per deciliter less testosterone than non-users, with sexual dysfunction rates ranging from 34 to 90%. For guys taking heart and blood pressure medication, a study of 35,000 patients found roughly 1 in 5 men taking a first or second generation beta blocker report some sexual difficulty. And for men taking finasteride for hair loss, roughly 5% of users lose libido during treatment, but a smaller group develops post-finasteride syndrome, where up to 94% report long-term low sex drive, 92% erectile dysfunction, and 69% orgasm problems that can linger for years after they quit the drug. The mechanisms vary by drug class. SSRIs increase serotonin, which suppresses dopamine pathways critical for sexual motivation. Opioids directly suppress the HPG axis. Beta blockers interfere with the sympathetic nervous system responses needed for arousal. Think of your sexual function like a complex orchestra with different sections: hormones, neurotransmitters, blood flow, and psychological factors. Each medication is removing key musicians from different sections. Remove the hormone section, opioids, the neurotransmitter section, SSRIs, the blood flow section, beta blockers, or the DHT section, finasteride, and the whole orchestra sounds terrible. To fix this, you want to do medication optimization, working with your healthcare providers to maintain your health while protecting your sexual function. First, never stop medications without medical supervision, but do have an honest conversation with your doctor about sexual side effects. Many physicians can switch you to alternatives with lower sexual side effect problems. For antidepressants, ask about bupropion or vortioxetine, which have significantly lower rates of sexual dysfunction. Some studies show switching to those alternatives can restore sexual function in up to 70% of patients. For blood pressure medications, newer beta blockers like nebivolol actually improve erectile function in about 69% of patients due to their nitric oxide enhancing properties. For pain management, if you're on long-term opioids, discuss testosterone replacement therapy with your doctor. Studies show this can increase testosterone from around 249 to nearly 497 nanograms per deciliter while improving sexual function. Finally, for finasteride, it drops DHT everywhere. Some men rebound after stopping, others face year-long sexual problems. So know the risks and get the help before you start. The key is being proactive rather than reactive. Don't wait until your sex drive is completely gone to address medication-related issues. But there's one final habit that might be the most controversial, and it's something that many men are doing intentionally, thinking it's helping their health. Habit number 11, semen retention. You think you're building energy and focus through semen retention, but you're actually creating sexual isolation syndrome, where prolonged abstinence combined with avoiding real female contact creates a hormonal flatline that kills your natural drive. Here's what most guys practicing No Nut November or long-term retention don't understand. There's a sweet spot. Short-term abstinence can boost testosterone, but going too long without sexual release or female interaction creates a perfect storm that actually dampens libido. Studies show that after 7 days of abstinence, testosterone peaks at about 145% of baseline, but then it plateaus and can actually decline with extended celibacy. Meanwhile, just a 5-minute conversation with an attractive woman increases men's testosterone by 14 to 30%, especially in men who've been abstinent for over a month. But here's the kicker. Men who have sex less than once per week are twice as likely to develop erectile dysfunction over 5 years. Extended isolation from sexual stimuli causes what researchers call sexual loneliness, leading to mood drops, confidence loss, and a vicious cycle where libido continues to decline. Here's how this works. Your brain's reward system needs regular activation through sexual cues to maintain optimal function. Without exposure to attract women or sexual stimuli, studies show significant downregulation of reward circuits, leading to decreased motivation and sexual desire. Think of your libido like fire that needs both fuel, testosterone, and oxygen, sexual stimuli. Short-term retention adds fuel to the fire, making it burn brighter. But cut off the oxygen completely, no female interaction, no sexual cues, and eventually even the best fuel can't keep the fire burning. The flame starts to die out. So here's the fix. Find your Goldilocks zone of sexual activity. Not too much, not too little. If you're practicing retention, limit it to 7 to 14 day cycles maximum. The initial testosterone boost peaks around day 7. That's when you hit diminishing returns. Maintain social interaction with women even during retention periods. Your brain needs exposure to natural pheromones and sexual cues to keep the hormonal feedback loop active. This doesn't mean you have to be sexual. Just don't completely isolate yourself from the opposite sex. If you've been in a long dry spell, gradually reintroduce sexual stimuli. Start with social interactions, light flirting, or even just being around attractive people. Your brain needs to remember that sexuality exists and it's available. For optimal libido health, research suggests 2 to 4 ejaculations per week hits the sweet spot. Enough to maintain function and prostate health, but spaced out enough that each experience remains rewarding and doesn't lead to desensitization. Remember, the benefits many attribute to retention, increased energy, focus, confidence, often come from other lifestyle changes made simultaneously. You can get these benefits without complete sexual suppression or social isolation. Look, I've given you the science and the solutions, but information without implementation is worthless. If you're serious about reclaiming your energy, drive, and confidence, I created a complete system that walks you through implementing all of these fixes step by step. See the link below to find out more.